In Mexico, we are focused on discovery. These projects were curated by David Jones personally, and they are drill ready. So we have lots of high potential drill targets which needs to be drilled. As and when we get the drill permits, if we drill those, that will establish a discovery. And if that happens, as you know, shareholders do the best when a discovery happens.
Hi and welcome to the Assay TV. I'm very pleased to be joined here today by Vikas Ranjan, co-founder and chief executive officer of Vortex Metals. Thanks so much for joining us today, Vikas.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here. So I get that, as it's your first time joining us here on the Assay, perhaps you could kick us off by giving a bit of an overview of the company and its origin.
Sure. So Vortex Metals is a junior resource company exploring for copper assets in Mexico, and we are bringing a project in Chile, hopefully soon. As well, we are listed on Toronto Stock Exchange, Venture Exchange, with our ticker is VMS. We are also on OTC QB, VMSSF. We are focused on finding the next copper discovery. We are a discovery-focused company, and we believe that we have the team to make that happen.
Great. Could you tell us a bit more about the team and their experience?
Absolutely. So maybe I will give a little bit of background about the origin of this company. This company was co-founded by myself, Michael Williams, who is the executive chairman of the company, and also by late David M. Jones. He was a renowned geologist who was responsible for discovering one of the largest mines in Mexico called Los Filos. Los Filos has produced more than 7 million ounces of gold and 55 million ounces of silver to date. David was at Teck Resources when he discovered that, and over time he started his own company, and he staked a lot of land claims in the state of Oaxaca in Mexico, which he believed to be the next frontier for finding new discoveries, and that is how this all came along. He had joint ventured the projects with Oz Minerals. Unfortunately, it was not ready to be drilled because of drilling permit situation. Project came back to David, and we partnered with David to make Vortex possible. We lost David about 2 years ago. Unfortunately, he passed away, but we have been focused on making sure that his legacy continues, and we are able to drill those high potential targets, which he has personally curated at these two projects in Mexico. So that has been the origin and the story behind Vortex. More recently, we have been focused on finding some other good assets, and we have found something very interesting in Chile, which we are working to bring under Vortex.
Great. And what about the rest of the team that you've got in place now?
So on the management side, myself, I have 25 years of experience in capital markets and MBA in finance by training. We have Michael Williams, who is executive chairman. He is also a renowned mining executive. He built and sold Underworld Resources to Kinross 10, 12 years ago for $138 million, a well-known name in the industry. On the technical side, I think we have one of the best technical teams of any junior possible. We have Dr. Jim Franklin. He is the Mining Hall of Famer in Canada, a renowned VMS expert. We have Rob Johansson, our lead geologist, good friend of David's. He wrote our NI 43-101 report. So he's leading the charge in Mexico. And John Larson, he sits on our board of directors. He is also a renowned geologist, 42-year veteran, 16 plus years at BHP. So these gentlemen complete our team, and we are surrounded by strong experts and consultants who we access from time to time when we need.
Great. So you mentioned your focus is copper,
Yes.
and do you see that as playing a big part in the energy transition, and is that a big part of your strategy?
Yes, absolutely. So we like to start with a macro theme. We believe that copper is the greenest of all metals in our view. Energy transition starts and stops with copper. That's our belief. As you know, most of the copper supplies were discovered 20 years ago. 95% of all discoveries were made before 2001. In the last 20 years, we have only discovered less than 5%. The demand for copper is going to skyrocket because of energy transition and everything which is happening in the world, whereas supply is depleting and dwindling. As per Goldman Sachs, they are predicting that by end of 2025, copper prices could hit $15,000 per ton, which is 80% more than where it is today. S&P Global just came out with a report saying that by 2035, the copper deficit between demand and supply would be 19 million metric tons. Imagine if that happens, we are talking about, copper prices, skyrocketing if that happens. So we have been very focused on finding next big discovery in the space of copper, which we can develop and eventually, hopefully that becomes a mine, whether we take it to production or a bigger company which, takes it to production. That is our focus.
Great. So you're pretty confident about a copper bull run on its way?
Absolutely.
Great. Perhaps you could talk to us a bit about your kind of upcoming news flow and some of your short and medium term catalysts.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned to you that we have signed an LOI with a Chilean group out of Chile to acquire a highly prospective project in Chile. It's a copper project as well. Good thing is that this is a brownfield project, fully permitted for drilling. They already have a small mine, which they're producing on the site with a processing plant, which gives us lots of information about the ore body and the type of metallurgy. What we need to do once we get the project, of course, under the belt, to expand the resource significantly, doing a proper geological, study. So we are working to get the definitive agreement signed. That will be a major catalyst, in my opinion, once we get that done. And getting the approval from TSXV Venture. And hopefully we get that before the end of this year. And then we will be in a position to drill that. We have some high potential drill targets on that property near the mine, which we will be able to explore. So January, February timeframe, Q1 would be a good quarter for very good news flow potentially from Chile. We're also advancing our Mexican projects. We are doing some good work on getting the permitting advanced. So I'm also hopeful that we will have some catalyst coming from Mexico as well, hopefully getting community approval for drill permits in Mexico. So that will be a major catalyst as well. And we will continue to do more geological work in Mexico. We just completed a 45 days program, which we are going to talk about in coming weeks as well. So quite a bit of news flow coming in next month or so, and hopefully continuing in Q1.
Great, sounds like some exciting stuff coming up. And perhaps you could share a bit about the strategy for building shareholder value in the company.
Absolutely. So I like to say that we are in terms of risk-reward ratio, we are very favorably stacked right now. Our market cap is not a whole lot. We are only 7 million market cap, so our downside is limited. But upside is significant, right now in terms of, getting the project in Chile. And again, a caveat, we don't have that definitive sign, but as and when we get that under the belt, the goal there is to expand the resource. I am not saying that it's easy, but we do think that we know what we are doing there. And hopefully we will be able to successfully demonstrate that there's much, much bigger resource. So that can add, a lot of value to shareholders as and when we start to do that. In Mexico, we are focused on discovery. These projects are curated by David Jones personally, and they are drill ready. So we have lots of high potential drill targets which needs to be drilled. As and when we get the drill permits, if we drill those, that will establish a discovery. And if that happens, as you know, shareholders do the best when a discovery happens in case of junior resources. So, step by step, we will build the value for shareholders as we advance these projects. And I'm pretty confident that, we will be able to, build shareholder value.
Great. Well, thank you, Vikas. It sounds like there's some exciting news coming up, and we'll definitely keep an eye out. And we look forward to hearing more from you in the coming months.
Thank you very much for having me.